Okay, in this video, we are going to try to fix something. So I've got this feature here, and I'll talk about it as I go. But before you, when you delete a user or when you create an account, this onCreate account gets called. And that allows you to integrate actions that your app needs to do when you create an account. So you might want your own copy of a table with a user ID and then a bunch of custom attributes for that user that really aren't part of the K2 or your standard attributes for a user. So this is how we do that. And I showed this a little in the last video, but if you look in this app chart density, I am basically I have a procedure I create called onCreateAccount, which calls this package onCreateAccount procedure because I like to have my code live in the package. And you can see it uses a bunch of K2 objects to basically create a token, a contact group, a contact, associate the contact with the group, creates an alert priority group, and then adds that alert priority group to the contact group. So it kind of puts all this stuff together so that if I yell at anybody, it's my dog. So we put all that together, kind of stitch all that together so that if we write an alert, it will get routed to whoever's in this contact group. And then we create a data set. So that's SAS auth events file. So this is a kind of, most of the files in here are part of a template. If you look at default, you'll see there's a SAS auth events file. And when you create a new app, you run this shell script, which basically just copies some directories and creates them. So let's find it. Where is it? New app. So this is how you create a new app. You just call .new app name. In a future video, I'll show you how to do it. I'm going to build an app. I'm going to build an app that is a secret gift exchange. So you put in a bunch of names, and then that will send out a link, or you can give those people a link, and then they can hit the link, select who they are, and then it'll tell them who their secret gift exchange person is, or something like that. My wife did this recently, and it was a horrible app, and I thought, I could build better. I thought, this would be a good one to kind of demo how to build something on K2 in Oracle Apex. So maybe we'll get to that sometime in the future if other things don't come up first. So this just goes through you could look at this, goes through and copies basically this default and does some renames. I don't know if this actually still works. Things get out of date because I haven't gone through a whole app build, but it should work. But it's pretty simple. So, so you get this auth events file, which creates these procedures, and you can see we've got onCreateAccount. Now the problem is what I had on delete user, which didn't make any sense because technically I needed to do something before the user was deleted, not after. And on delete was actually running after, and so that's a good example of, this is not really clear. What does onCreateAccount mean? Does that mean before the account is created or after the account is created? On login, does this mean once the user is authenticated, logs in and is authenticated, or is trying to log in but is not authenticated? So these are areas that need to be improved. And what I'm going to try to do here is we're going to try to change this to before create account and after create account. And we're going to try to update everything for all the apps that this supports. Now, in reality, SuperLoser is the only other app out there. By the way, my cert is expired, so if you go to superloser.io, it's not going to come up. And I have issues with CertBot and whatever that free cert service is that everybody uses, because my text record, the DNS does not replicate out fast enough, and it's never consistent, and it's really hard to get my cert renewed. I need to figure out how to do that automatically, but I think I have to use the text record. So if you don't know what I'm talking about, that's cool. We'll show you that sometime too, because when we build the app, we're going to set up a reverse proxy so that you can have a host name in front of your Apex, and it won't cost you a fortune. If you go on Oracle Cloud and you look into the plan that at least the last time I did it, if you look into the plan that you need to get pretty, what do they call, pretty URLs or vanity URLs. I mean, it was, I don't know, it was a lot of money, way too much money for me to justify when I got other means. But that's kind of typical of Oracle. They shoot for the corporate, the big money, and the independent developers. We kind of. There's not a lot of independent developers in reality working with Oracle. Whereas you look at JavaScript and all the frameworks there, React and all this stuff, and you have tons of independent consultants, individuals working themselves in that area, and lots of services aimed at that market. So that's an area that I think Oracle needs to shift. I wish the camera is on because maybe you're getting bored of hearing me talk, but there's a great book called Crossing the Chasm, and kind of like everybody who's did startups knows this book. And there's another one too, and I can't think of the name of it right now, but it talks about how large companies struggle to innovate once they become established, and it's a lot of lessons that Oracle could learn there. Okay, well, 7 minutes in, let's get coding. Too much talking, right? Okay, so need to change this to on before create account and after create account. So we're not going to start here though. Okay, we're going to start in SaaS auth, K2 SaaS auth, or actually it's in lib. So this is our authorization library, and I was inspired by Dmitry Gilis. Hopefully I've got that right, if Dmitry ever sees this, or anybody that knows him. He's pretty well known within the Oracle Apex community, and he created this all-in-one kind of login form, and I thought, yeah, that's the way it needs to be done. I mean, all these different forms and stuff. So I built upon that, and then I built a lot of other stuff upon that. Let me pause this and try to kick my dog out. Hold on. Okay, so we've got this, let's see, we're going to go to the SaaS auth events gets installed by SaaS auth. And in reality, we're going to go with the one of Elon Musk's principle. I think I forgot the exact principle, but deleting stuff is good. Like, let's get rid of stuff, right? So if we don't need it, we don't really need. Well, I don't think we actually need this. I don't think there's anywhere it's referenced the code looks for a procedure with this name, and if it exists, it does something. But if it doesn't exist, that's fine. And this is included in the this file is included in the default right there. So it's going to get created anyway anytime you install an app. So I don't think it's needed. And so what we're going to do here is we're going to delete the file. And so now I need to go to SaaS auth install, and I need to delete the reference there. Okay. So the idea here, these are what I'm going to call long, boring coding videos, and I'm in the future going to try to do more coding and less talking, or less prep, less intro. Okay. So we're going to go into our SaaS auth package and look for on create account. And there it is. Of course, this is uppercase because all the object names are usually uppercase unless you've made the mistake of surrounding an object with double quotes when you create it, which would then create it in whatever case you put in there, which can be very, very bad. I forgot what they are in SQL Server, but those are kind of things you just learn over time. So when we create when fire create account is fired, we're going to look for this procedure, and we're going to do an execute immediate and call it. So before we figure that out, we need to go ahead and see where this is called from. And so this is technically add user is after the user has been added. And there is, so this is after. So we want to change fire create account to fire after create account. All right. So that's going to take care of that. Now I need to check the header and see if fire create account if that's there. It may or may not be. I don't know. It doesn't need to be here. So if it was, we should probably remove it. Okay, I don't think it's there. Okay. So we're firing after create account. And we're going to change on create account. Now this is where in Sublime you can check for case sensitivity, and I am going to go ahead and search the entire, I'm sure it's only here, but we're going to search the entire K2 folder for this. Yes, and we're going to change that to before create account. Args equal to after, if n equals 0, then after create account. Oh yeah, this is after. What am I talking about? That's how bugs get introduced, after, okay. And then this is where we're going to do a search, and we're going to find in folder. Now you're going to find a lot of these. Okay, so we're just going to review on create account, on create account, on create account, and we're going to change all of those to before create account. Now, I'm not going to create an after create account. You know, I mean, it's logical that someone would assume there is one, but it's not necessarily a necessity. We're just trying to be clearer. So we're going to change all of those everywhere they are to, and we do want to be case sensitive, to after create account. "22 files. Wow. Okay. So we're going to do close tabs to write, and yes, 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 yes. Okay. I'm going to close that. Just, okay. There we go. Okay. So now if we look at our code, we just look for create account. And I'm not going to look for case sensitive, so. Okay. So we have fire after create account. Debug's right. It's going to look there. It's going to, if it finds the procedure, it's going to call it. Fire after create account there. Create account, and create account calls add user, which calls fire after. And the reason we want it in add user, and this is the kind of thing like, how do you add a comment here? But because create account needs to have an Apex session to work. This is called from Apex, but I can create users just by calling add user. And we do this for the system users. So let me see if that's in here. Yeah, add system user. So if we look at add system user, that just calls, actually it just does a direct insert. I got rid of that altogether. Yeah, so the reason we need system users is these services like Statzilla or an alert or contact, all those require a user ID. And we do that, coding is like it's trade-offs all the time, right? So we need a user ID when we create a contact or an alert, a contact group, for example, so that if we delete the user, we delete all the contact groups. Of course, you could have an app that has a contact group, and that's kind of part of the app. It's not really, doesn't belong to the users of the app. And in that case, you need a system user because you still have to give it a user ID. And so there's got to be something to reference. So we need a system user. So SAS Auth has this idea of a system user. If we go into schema, you can see that there's 3 roles that get created. One is a user role, an admin role, and the IDs are 1, 2, 3, and then the system role. And that user should not be able to log in from the front end. It's just a back end user basically. So in order to keep things simple so that when you delete a user, all this, we can have these foreign key constraints with on cascade delete. All this stuff gets cleaned up. We had to add this thing called a system user. So we had a trade-off. It got simpler here, but it got a little more complicated here. And hopefully someday we can just figure out how to do it without it. But trying to have user ID where sometimes you allow null, and sometimes then sometimes you allow a user ID. It was getting too complicated, and then I had to write code to clean these tables up because I couldn't have that foreign key constraint with on cascade delete. Okay, so as I get more used to this, maybe it'll get more natural. I'm probably forgetting lots of things, but we have our new procedure. We've renamed it everywhere, and when we install, like when we come back to chart density and we run SAS auth events, we're going to have an after create account event, and then if we look at our package body, we should have a after create account event. This is great. The problem now, right, is that all these apps probably have this on create account procedure, and we really don't want that. So let's just do find in folder one more time on create account. We shouldn't find any, that's good. But we need to delete it from every app that ever runs. So that when we upgrade, we don't have this thing called on create account. So how are we going to do that? Well, we could go in and add that at the app level, but what I think we want to do is do it up here in SAS Auth, because when we do an upgrade, we're going to run SAS Auth. And so we go to SAS Auth install. We could do SAS Auth install, or we could do schema. I think we could do it. All these files are going to get run, right? So it could be anywhere really, but we want to. Where does it make sense? I think here is where it makes sense, right? So we're going to go ahead and right here we're going to do an execute drop procedure. I'm pretty sure I have this, and this is where AI is. Let's see. No, that's not what I wanted to do, but that was pretty good guess. Drop procedure on create account. Now, what this is, and I'll make a note. We change this to before create account, which is clear. Okay. And let's add a date, 12/7/2022. So this is idempotent. It can be here forever. It's only going to hurt if we ever decide to create on create account and it starts deleting it on us. Hopefully we would remember that or look for it. There is a way in K2 to check the version of the app and only drop it. And so there's a K2 version down here. Let me see, where is it? K2 install. Where is version? K2 app version right there. So what I could do, and this, I don't religiously remember to upgrade this. This gets upgraded every now and then when I think about it. This is not a great design right here, but there is some reference point. So 2022, 10/19, October 19, right? So basically, you would have this version number. And so what we can do is we can go to this k2app.version, right? We can go into SaaS auth install, and we can say if k2app.version is less than or equal to 2022, 10, what was it? I don't remember already. We'll just cut and paste it. So if it's less or equal to that, then do this. And of course, that's not going to work. We need a block. So this is how you kind of do stuff with versions. And you have your own app versions too, so you control that if you're building an app on, and you can do this. So it gives us some reference point. It comes along and it's like 2023 and we're like, okay, everybody is upgraded at this point. Boom, we could just delete that. And you could do a search for K2 app version and find out everywhere you're referencing it and clean that up. Of course, in reality, I'm like the only developer doing anything. So there are a lot of things as people actually start to use this framework that will become pain points and we'll need to fix. Okay. So let's see. At this point, what can we do? I think we're good. I think we're going to drop it. We're going to rename our procedure. So here comes the real test. So I am working on chart density. So let's go and install. Let's go and install, file, open, and let's install SaaS auth. So we need to go, so I'm not installing everything from scratch. I'm going into lib, going into SaaS auth, and going to SaaS auth install, and we're going to run this. Run it in chart density dev, cd dev. And hopefully no errors. Oh, but there's always errors, right? There's always errors. Drop procedure. Okay, let's go back up here. Send email after create account must be declared. I don't know what that is. Okay, we might have to pause and actually figure out what we've done. This is the kind of stuff that normally, it happens and you figure it out, but I hate to do that to you. Usually what I do is I deal with one error at a time, right? Like, what's the point in dealing with this if there's something up here happening? So package body, SaaS auth, PKG, send email after account must be, okay, send email on, so that changed from on create account. So this is one of those ideas as strings. So let's go SaaS auth, PKG. Yeah. So send email after create account. So SaaS auth, okay. So let's go up to SaaS auth config. Okay, so now this gets a little more complicated. Create account. It is clearer, so let's go up. So what we need to do is we'll go to default for now. This is the default code. And we have SaaS auth. No. We need to go to config. And we need to go to default. And we have our SaaS auth config. And this is this is what's checked. You can all see this. Nothing secret here. I'm actually working in Oracle Cloud at the moment. Okay, send email after create account. Okay, that's cool. So, okay, I know what's happened. So we have changed the code. So I can't show you these config files because they have real actual random values and things in there that are secret. That's why they all start with the word secret. But our SaaS auth config, we haven't recompiled it because we haven't recompiled the any of the config. We haven't run the config basically. So what we need to do is go into our app, K2 app, chart density, and app install. And this is a problem. So we use variables here. This can be kind of a pain, and this is something that I would love to fix. So we use variables. I'm going to have to go steal them. I hate doing this, but this is kind of a hack. So I go to chart density, install, dev, and yeah, I need these right here because if those aren't defined, then these variables don't work. And so we're just going to stick them there, and then we're going to recompile all the config files with our changes. And so now I've got that new value in. Now I should be able to go here. Let's try running this. Okay, that got a lot better. Unable to override SaaS auth events. Yes, of course. So I thought we got rid of that. SaaS auth install. Let me see. What did we get rid of? This is where we go to GitHub. And hopefully we don't look at any secret stuff. SaaS auth install. Yeah, I thought. Oh, I got rid of auth scheduler jobs. That's not what I wanted to get rid of. So here I was talking. Okay, so that goes after post install. So I'm basically using my Git client to figure that out. Okay, now getting rid of that. Okay. You're watching the sausage get made. Let's try this again. Everything's idempotent, right? We just run it again and again. Okay. So drop procedure. I don't know if that actually is part, if we have that or not. If not, we're going to add it. So we're going to go to ArcSQL schema support. Okay, yes, it exists. If object exists, drop procedure. Okay, that works. So, oh, the execute doesn't work because we put it in a block. Okay, let's go back. Where was that? That was in SaaS auth install. Yes, no, that's not going to work. All right. I like to start with a fresh palette. Hey, everything installed there. Now we go to app install, and we're going to go ahead and install all this code. Hopefully that works. Okay, and if we really want to test something, now we're going to go to open. I do have this app test file. And we've got a bunch of tests here, and it's supposed to run without errors, although we need to make sure our system account exists. So let me just make sure we got a system account because I rebuilt this. Yes, there is a system account. Okay, so app test, we're going to run it. Okay, something broke. That's good, right? This is why we have tests. Failed verify token. Interesting. I think this one might take a little longer to figure out. Okay. So let's look at our, let's see where it failed. We're going to look in those particular things. Create data set gets called. This is going to be user ID 113. So let's start from Seth auth, and there is no user ID 113. So yeah, something's going on there. But anyway, I am going to end this here. We're at 30 minutes. So you kind of see how we work in K2 and build an app and improve K2 at the same time. Everything's on main branch at this time, and so I will be checking this in. This actually, you know, I shouldn't have worried about anything because this secret SaaS auth config is legit because it's part of default, so there's nothing actually secret in there. And so then I'll come in here and I'll just, you know, SaaS auth work, commit, push, and those files are now out on Git. Is it on GitLab? Is that where I'm at? Yeah, I am on GitLab. Why am I on GitLab? I don't know. For some reason, I'm on GitLab. Everything else is on Git, but this is on GitLab. So, you know, you can just see just now SaaS auth work, and I pushed that code out there. So, and you can always get to this by going to built on Apex K2. It will redirect you to this. So I'm going to fix this issue, and you'll probably see another commit shortly in which I fix this particular issue, but that is the end of this long, boring coding video. I hope you enjoyed it. I will probably be uploading a lot of these because they're kind of fun, and you know, as much as it is a distraction, it's also kind of helps you focus and try to solve a specific problem. Hoping I get a lot better at this. I really appreciate people like George Hotz and others that do live coding and just how good and natural they are at it and how fast they move. I'm hoping I will get better. And hopefully you learn something from this too for the, you know, the few people that end up watching this. Thanks. Talk to you later.